All right, guys. So Harry Enton of CNN, their data guy, he did this piece here talking about how the Democrats are kind of screwed. They're kind of screwed in terms of elections for the future. So let's watch and then we'll discuss.
There isn't one. There's no early favorite. There's no early clear favorite. And that is really unusual because the bottom line is when you have no incumbent Democratic president following this year, we've looked back at similar situations. Back in 2017, Joe Biden was the clear heir apparent. Heading into 2005 and then 2013, heading into the 16 campaign, Hillary Clinton was way up in the national polls. It was pretty clear she was the heir apparent. How about Al Gore going into the 2000 campaign or 04? Again, the clear heir apparent. You have to go all the way back to the 1992 campaign with this giant question mark over here. Let's see if I can draw it in. There we go. Where there was no clear heir apparent.
Yeah, but to be fair, in 1992, Bill Clinton won. So I don't know. Okay, this part here, I'm not convinced is as big of a negative as people think it is. Why would it be such a positive thing if there's an heir apparent or a front runner who's likely to be the nominee? If anything, that removes like more options from people and it locks you into a certain idea, and that idea could be a bad idea, like it was with Hillary, right? Like it was with Biden. So Al Gore lost too, by the way. He was the heir apparent. He lost. Clinton was the heir apparent. She lost. Biden did win, to be fair, but yeah, I'm not sure I like this idea anyway of like, this is definitely going to be the person. No, I kind of want an open primary process and a bunch of people to throw their hat in the ring and to find a way to find like the best candidate by testing them like that, you know? So I don't know. This isn't as much of a negative as he seems to think it is, or that's certainly my take on it. Curious what you guys think.
First cycle, it seems, since going back all the way to the late 80s, early 1990s, in which there is no clear early frontrunner for the next Democratic nomination.
I will say, the Democrats won this one, and in this one where they did have an heir apparent, they ended up winning when it wasn't that person.
That's exactly right.
So maybe they're better off.
Maybe they're better off, because remember, Hillary Clinton, even though she seemed to be the heir apparent going into the 2008 campaign, of course, it was Barack Obama who basically came out of nowhere after that 04 convention speech to go on to win the nomination. So it might actually be good news for Democrats that there's no heir apparent, but the bottom line is there isn't one.
Okay, in terms of being in the wilderness, sometimes in the past, Democrats have been able to latch on to the outgoing president as someone who can give them guidance. Where does that sit this time?
Yeah, so, even after 2016, right, you go into 2017 and, Democrats control no levers of the Congress. Democrats have no, real heir apparent necessarily except for Biden. But Barack Obama at least had an approval rating nationwide of 53%, right? Look at where Joe Biden's is. 40% at this point. 40%. You have to go all the way back to 1980, as I come to John's side of the screen, to find a departing incumbent Democratic president to have an approval rating as low as Joe Biden's is right now. When you make the comparison to Jimmy Carter on popularity, you know that you're in bad shape.
And then when it comes to what power they actually have in Washington, historically speaking, having no levers of power, they haven't been there that often.
They really haven't been. They've been a little bit more apparent this century, but a GOP pres plus a Congress in the last 90 years, you got 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, and 5 times, just 5 times in the last 90 years in which the Democrats controlled neither house of Congress, which seems most likely at this point, though we haven't projected the House.
5 times, and 4 of the 5 are relatively recent. But you know what? I bet you'd find the same thing on the flip side of that, where like Democratic president, Democratic House, Democratic Senate. I bet a lot of that has happened recently too. And I think it's because we live in the era of perpetual dissatisfaction because our government sucks and is corrupt. So people do one wild swing to another wild swing to another wild swing to another wild swing. So anyway, I think that's interesting.
Presidency. So the bottom line is, anywhere you look, John, everywhere you look, the Democrats are in this deep, dark state because they have no heir apparent, the incumbent president's unpopular, and they hold no levers of power in Washington, most likely come January.
And a solace, though, again, at least in this century, when they were in those positions, it did flip fairly quickly, at least here and here.
Yes. So look, the bottom line is, we'll see where we are in 2 years. We're just getting over this election. We don't have to go all the way, jump into 2026 already. But the bottom line is this. For Democrats, there's no real light at the end of the tunnel. It's always darkest before it's pitch black, as John McCain once said.
As John McCain, like to hear it, and thank you very much.
Yeah, and like the map, the next time there's an election, it's not like even if the Democrats win big, they could gain like 60 seats in the Senate or whatever. Like they're sort of screwed for a while, right? And then they also, I think the bigger problem here, which he doesn't even touch on, is their identity crisis at the moment, right? It's like, because some of the idiots are saying you got to go further right wing. That would be horrible. And others are saying, no, you know what? You probably should embrace more Bernie Sanders style politics. That'd be good. But what's likely to win out? Who's likely to win out in that fight? Well, the one that doesn't overturn the apple cart and upset the donors, and that would be, hey, let's just throw trans people under the bus and go further right on immigration, and that'll be it, right? So, and then you're stuck in an even worse position where, in the future, it's what? J.D. Vance will be the heir apparent on the Republican side, and then running against who? On the Democratic side. And if you just want to give them Republican light again, maybe the Democrat wins, maybe the Democrat loses, but either way, you're not going to get transformational change, which is what this country needs. So I will say this on a positive note at the end here. This is the first time in a long time that there actually genuinely seems to be a rethinking of how to move forward in a way that just wasn't there at all previously. And through that uncertainty can come some decent answers if we insist that the correct lessons are learned. So there is that sort of upside. When you hit rock bottom, you can sort of reorganize and start from scratch, and that could lead to some positive stuff. You got to bottom out before you can move up. So did we bottom out? I don't know. We'll see. It's also possible this isn't even rock bottom. But the bottom line is here, Democrats don't really have a very clear path to power at all. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop. And watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.